Welcome to episode 339 of the Shared Security Podcast. And today we're going to be talking about that massive AT&T data breach affecting, I think, nearly all AT&T customers. That's 110 million people. And that's actually bigger than the last AT&T data leak that we talked about way back in March.
Wow.
It really wasn't that long ago.
Way back, yeah.
Way back. And that had affected 73 million customers. So that's just a drop in the bucket, right? Let's just have all of them at this point.
May as well, yeah.
Might as well, right? Well, AT&T's having a bad time recently. So in our Aware Much segment, Scott is going to talk about the importance of reading those privacy policies on sites like Facebook and Instagram, because they have most likely updated them to let you know that your data is most likely being used to train AI models.
But who cares about that?
Yeah, who cares, right? Who cares what you put in the ChatGPT or all those other AI-enabled things? It's safe. And joining me to talk about all of these things is my wonderful co-host, the great Mr. Scott Wright.
Hey, it's wonderful to be on with the wonderful host, Tom Eston. So thanks, Tom.
The host. Thank you. No Kevin today. He is like the traveling busy man in the last couple of weeks. Hopefully we get him back in the next couple of weeks when things slow down for him.
Just hope he hasn't gone on some walkabout out in the West Coast or something. Just done a Don Draper, go disappear for a few weeks.
Yeah, off the face of the earth. Yeah, I don't know if he can actually do that because he is running a company. But I've heard people have done stranger things. So
Wasn't there a John McAfee guy that did something like that? Did he disappear?
Yes. May he rest in peace. But I believe he died in prison. But John McAfee is a interesting character in the cybersecurity space. We should just do a John McAfee episode.
Yeah.
That would be
maybe
wild.
on maybe the Memorial Day of his birthday or something. Or his
something like that.
Day.
Honestly, John McAfee is probably one of the most interesting people that I have ever come across. I never got to meet John when he was alive, but I know some people, some colleagues and people that I know that have, and he was a fascinating character.
We should do that sometime.
But in the meantime, let's talk about AT&T, because they're having some problems lately. And they had recently disclosed a data breach that had exposed phone call and text message records for 110 million customers. That's pretty much all of their customers. And that data was exposed from May 1st to October 31st, 2022, as well as they have a specific date, which is interesting, January 2nd, 2023. This seems to be related to Snowflake. So you've heard, we've mentioned this on the show.
Yeah, we have mentioned it.
There's been a lot of companies that have been exposed through this Snowflake breach. So Snowflake is like a database, a cloud database kind of provider that companies can sign up for. And there's been some issues with companies haven't put on two-factor authentication, essentially.
What else is new, right?
Right. It's the same old, right? The things that we always seem to talk about. But this breach, though, what's really interesting about the data, so the actual text messages and phone calls, the actual content of those things were not exposed, but it was the metadata that is used to determine call and text locations. And you could actually put, hey, these two people that I'm potentially tracking from, let's say, a nation state perspective, you can actually put those call logs together to determine where people were, who they talked to. And it's causing a pretty big concern. The reason why this has taken so long to be disclosed is the FBI in the United States had said, please don't disclose this, because they were really concerned about national security.
It's interesting. I wonder I'm just trying to think what that might mean.
Like I just mentioned, if a nation state was able to get hold of that data.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
They could,
because it's a third of the population. Yeah.
Think about like federal agents. If, say, the FBI was using AT&T
undercover stuff,
exactly. All of those things could potentially be exposed.
Sure.
Yeah, there's some pretty serious concerns there. It's interesting too, because I was a victim of this, because I am an AT&T customer. I got the email actually this week from AT&T letting me know that they greatly apologize for exposing my data. But I don't know. I don't have mixed feelings about this. I feel like all of us in the world have become numb to the number of data breaches and the amount that our data has just been exposed, that I don't even think this made major news.
Yeah,
honestly.
it's really weird.
I haven't seen it. It's just very strange that this is the place that we're at, where this is just so common now.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's so many news stories about breaches, and the severity of them doesn't really matter. And I think that's the main thing in this one. It's such a, as you said, a pretty serious one, but it just gets lost in all the noise.
Like, is this more serious than
Ticketmaster?
Whatever, right, Ticketmaster?
I got a notification about Ticketmaster, so I don't feel so left out.
I'll say you're special. See, like they did think of you. It's just interesting times that we're living in, and these breaches are just not going to stop.
Yeah. The other thing I think that's maybe just worth noting, and this is that they pointed out was a third-party cloud platform. I guess that's the Snowflake thing, right, that they're talking about.
Right.
But that sort of points to, I'm seeing a lot more focus on supply chain security and third-party risks. That seems to be the new wave of 2024. Remember, at the end of the year, we make our predictions. I don't know that any of us picked third-party breaches, but I think there's probably a lot of them piling up.
We may have mentioned just breaches in general, that those will continue. We talked a lot about ransomware and that still is a major issue. But it is interesting to see that the big ransomware incidents have tapered down a bit. They're still happening, but now, because of this Snowflake incident, there's all kinds of companies that have had exposures just due to that one issue. I think I was looking in the article here, like Advanced Auto Parts, Allstate, Anheuser-Busch, Mitsubishi. These are big companies that have been exposed, and there may be even more that we don't even know about yet.
Yeah.
So we'll keep a close eye on this one, but it's not getting any better.
Yeah.
Job security, right, Scott? That's one way to look at it. Yeah. Are you still relying on outdated managed file transfer tools? In today's world, the security of your sensitive data is more critical than ever. Introducing Kiteworks, the most secure and modern managed file transfer platform available. Kiteworks is audited yearly and continuously monitored by certified third-party assessors. With an ongoing bounty program, regular penetration testing, and one-click appliance updates, Kiteworks minimizes vulnerabilities like no other. Many traditional MFT solutions can't compare to the level of security and functionality Kiteworks provides. But that's not all. Kiteworks offers a world-class secure file sharing and email platform. Easily send automated or ad hoc files through fully integrated shared folders and email. Administrators can manage policies in a unified console and create custom integrations with their comprehensive REST API. Step into the future of secure managed file transfer with Kiteworks. Visit kiteworks.com to get started. That's kiteworks.com to get started today. Moving on, let's jump into Kevin and everybody else's favorite segment, Aware Much?
Yes, Tom, we do love to brighten your day with this valuable segment we call Aware Much. In fact,
all of it's going to brighten your day.
In fact, here's a little puzzle for you that might brighten your day.
Oh.
Okay, so why did the scarecrow catch a cold?
I don't know.
Because he wasn't aware much in his field.
Oh, wow. That's such a dad joke that you pulled there, Scott. Congratulations.
Anyways, okay.
Well, I'm going to be adding the sound effects to that in post. Yeah.
Wah, wah.
Wah, wah.
Well, it does seem like we haven't talked about Meta for some time. Oh, except in the last story. No, I guess we didn't.
No,
that was AT&T.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, when was the last time we talked about Meta?
Oh my gosh, it's been a while. We used to talk about Meta, I think, almost every podcast. Yeah. This podcast was founded
before Meta existed, but
right, which is part of Meta. But we started this podcast because of all the privacy issues and everything going on with Facebook. So.
Yeah. So maybe they're due. And as luck would have it, hot off the press is a complaint from the Open Rights Group, or org, in the UK, who lodged a formal complaint against Meta for its revised privacy policy. As Tom mentioned at the top of the show, got to keep an eye on how companies are changing the policies because they have that little out that says this policy may change from time to time and we don't have to tell you about it. Anyway, they claim that it allows Meta to use user data from Facebook and Instagram for AI development without explicit user consent. Meta, of course, disagrees, but anyway, this complaint and action was supposed to start in late June, but apparently has already had some resistance from the EU, and I guess the claim is that it violates the UK's GDPR, or General Data Protection Regulation. It alleges that Meta doesn't specify the purpose of its AI data processing, and that's a tough thing, right? You're collecting big data. This has been something I've seen for years. Talk about big data, all this data being collected. What are you using it for? And as soon as you apply AI and say, hey, you know what? We can infer this stuff from it. Like all those past collections that had purposes for them probably don't allow for that use of AI. So I think that could be what this is getting to, right?
Yeah, it really is. And to your point, these privacy policies seem to be changing and evolving all the time because of the use of AI in pretty much everything. Every company now is developing their products or their apps to leverage AI in some way. And it feels almost sneaky in a way where they'll just, oh, we're going to make some updates to the privacy policy. And we've talked about this on the show is nobody reads those privacy policies.
Except Kevin.
Except for Kevin, who reads every single one. And it just becomes, you just don't know how these companies.
And without being a
using the
lawyer,
data.
you probably wouldn't be able to figure it out if you did read many of them.
And we've linked in the show notes, there's some really good sites that you can go to that kind of break down privacy policies like a Meta and other big tech companies. So you can actually see what does this mean?
Yeah.
And then that's a good thing. But again, it's one more thing that somebody has to think about or proactively do to actually understand like how your data is being used with these sites.
Yeah. There's also another interesting claim in here that I don't know if it's deterring or obfuscating some of the opt-out kinds of wording, right? Because in the GDPR especially, I just created a course for the GDPR in ClickArmor a little while ago. And there's this concept of objecting to the collection of data. It doesn't mean you're denying or rejecting it, but you're objecting to certain situations. And depending on the context of it, it could be interpreted as, I guess I'm not allowed to deny it, so I can object, but I can't deny it. So what's the point of objecting anyway, I think there's confusion there, and I think there's probably a case to be made that maybe people don't really understand what's happening with it.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. There was a case we talked about with Slack where they basically were like, to opt out of our AI, the use of AI and all your chats and everything else in your organization, you have to email us to opt out. You were like, they just opted everybody into that. And we keep seeing this out of all these companies that are just, I feel like they're just taking the wrong approach. I would love to see some transparency where companies actually, hey, send you an email and saying, hey, here's what's changed in our privacy policy, and actually put it in the email and then click the link to go read more. But I have never seen that ever. It's too bad.
Well, we'll fix it, Tom.
Yeah, you and I will fix it. Can we say Kevin will fix it? I like that.
Yeah, I like
better.
that.
Like
Yeah.
just pass the risk and blame it to him if he doesn't do anything.
Yeah. Privacy and data protection are issues that we sometimes seem to overlook. But as I mentioned, ClickArmor has courses for GDPR, HIPAA, and in Canada, PIPEDA, which is the Personal Information and Electronic Documents Act, I believe it is. And it's there to protect the rights of information owners or citizens. But it helps employees learn how to spot personal information and what the owner's rights are. And of course, it's done in the ClickArmor platform in a fun and interactive way. So that makes the content more sticky, gets people through the training a little faster, and they remember more. So if you'd like to try out ClickArmor and learn about what we have to offer in the privacy space, you can go to clickarmor.ca, and happy to give you a demo or a trial. So that's it for this installment of Aware Much.
Thank you, Scott. All right. 2 really good topics today. Really enjoyed the conversation with you. on those.
Yes, likewise. And glad people could join us. How are our Patreon folks doing today?
Yeah, we could use a few more Patreons.
He's got to keep his lights on.
Yeah.
He took a cut in pay to move to it.
Yeah, we would really love more people to help support the podcast. It does cover our expenses in terms of hosting and editing and all of those things that we put into the podcast to keep this going.
And it just sounds trendy to say, hey, help us out on Patreon.
Yeah. So if you really like the show and you want to help support us, we have some perks, obviously, with the couple tiers that we have. But for only $3, that's actually cheaper than a cup of coffee these days. I think Starbucks, I just bought some coffee. It was like $6-7.
Wow. What do you put in it, man?
Ridiculous. I don't know what they put in it, but coffee is expensive these days. But supporting the podcast is actually a lot cheaper. If you want to throw us a couple bucks, it would be much appreciated by all of us. And we'll have the links in the show notes, but that's sharedsecurity.net/supporter. We'll take you to our Patreon, and it would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll have Kevin back next time.
Yes, for sure. But thanks for listening, everyone. And until next time, stay safe, stay secure, and stay private. Thanks for watching or listening to this episode. Be sure to subscribe wherever you like to listen to podcasts, follow us on X @SharedSec, and help support the podcast by joining our Patreon to get ad-free episodes, bonus content, and many more exclusive supporter-only benefits. Visit sharedsecurity.net/supporter for more details.